race, I have several thoughts. Number one, we have to put this within its proper political context. The United States government is not controlled by neither the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. They are simply the public government. The president, the Congress, the Supreme Court, they are the public government. But there is a private government. And that private government includes, but is not limited to, the National Security Agency, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Federal Reserve, and the Bilderberger Group. And the Bilderberger Group, we need to pay particular attention to, because the Bilderberger Group, in my opinion, at this moment in history, I believe is the most influential of all of the secret societies. It was the Bilderberger Group that made Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton come to a truce back during the Obama years when he was running for president and the Democrats were struggling over whether to nominate Obama or nominate Hillary Clinton. They both had to go and sit in the Bilderberger meeting and receive their marching orders. So I found it rather interesting that President Obama has surfaced as being one of the leading Democrats who influenced President Biden to step down. There's a strong possibility that it was the Bilderberger Group who gave Barack Obama the instructions to tell his good friend Joe Biden to stand down, because they may very well have wanted the Democrats to remain in power in the White House. But I think it's crystal clear the more we get closer to Election Day on November the 5th, it's becoming more clearer that the American public, from what I see, is more behind Donald Trump than they are behind President Biden. And I believe that the Bilderbergers may have told President Obama to instruct Donald Trump to stand down. But it gets more interesting because President Obama does not support Kamala Harris's endorsement. He said that the Democratic Party need to take a look at all of their potential contenders who could replace Joe Biden as the presidential nominee, which is kind of interesting from a personal standpoint, because both he and Kamala Harris are two mixed race Africans who never really identified with Black people, and both were puppets for the white power structure. So you would think he would have a lot more in common with Kamala Harris. It could be a case of narcissism, but no matter how you look at it, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that the shadow government instructed Barack Obama to make President Biden stand down. And I'm also rather intrigued by the fact that President Biden decided to stand down on a Sunday, a non-business day, not Monday, not Tuesday, not Wednesday, not Thursday or Friday, but he did it during the weekend. That means that the shadow government found it necessary for him to be replaced right now and not a second longer. Let me make this make sense for the listening public. America is not a democracy. The people do not choose the president. Presidents are publicly confirmed by the Electoral College. It is the Electoral College that votes for the president, not the people. Now, based on your popular vote, whoever wins the popular vote in a state generally will carry all of the Electoral College votes for that state. But the electors of that state are not required to vote for the person that won the popular vote. So, for example, you beat me in Pennsylvania for the popular vote for president of the United States. You clearly won the popular vote. The electors for the state of Pennsylvania, 99.9% of the time, will vote for you to be president because you carried the popular vote. But they are not required to do so by constitutional law. And the reason they are not required to do so by constitutional law is the United States government is not a democracy. It is a republic. It is not the rule of the majority. It is the rule of law. That's why the word democracy is not in the Constitution. The word democracy is not in the preamble. The word democracy is not in the Declaration of Independence. The word democracy cannot be found in any of the 50 state constitutions of this country. This is not a democracy. It is not the rule of the majority. It is a republic, the rule of the law. And who controls the republic? The aristocracy, the elite financial powers of this country. That's who really chooses the president. Now, if that is the case, why so much attention is put on the popular vote? Because since this is not a democracy, it is important to keep the illusion of inclusion alive and well. When people don't think they have a say in government, they overthrow it. When people don't think they have a say in government, they spark revolution. When people don't think they have a say in government, rebellions happen. So it is important for the power structure, the media, the corporate oligarchy to manipulate the American collective consciousness into voting for the person they pre-selected. It is important that the people come to the same conclusion through manipulation and indoctrination as the power structure. When the power structure chooses one president and the people choose someone else, then the illusion of a democracy begins to yield its dirty head. And that can spell trouble for maintaining the status quo and the social order. For example, in our lives, we've seen twice where a presidential candidate who won the popular vote lost the White House. Al Gore won the popular vote. George Bush won the White House. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Donald Trump won the White House. They can't keep letting that happen, because the more and more that the people choose one person and the power structure choose another, when people start to see that we really don't control this government, we really don't choose our leaders, they start to rebel. And that's why so much energy is put into the popular vote, because it needs to confirm the selection of the secret government. Now, with that being said, who do I think the power structure wants in the White House at this moment? Because they normally select presidents a couple years in advance, by the way. At least 4 years, they already know who's going to take the place. They leave nothing up to chance. I'm not sure who they want. And the reason I'm conflicted is because they made Joe Biden stand down. A part of me says that they wanted Biden, but he's not popular enough to carry the popular vote. Again, maintaining that illusion of democracy. So a part of me says they wanted Joe Biden, but he's no longer popular enough to hold the popular vote. So to keep the illusion of democracy alive, we got to tell Barack Obama to tell him to stand down. Let's put somebody else in that spot and see if they can carry it. That's a part of me. The other part of me could see a Donald Trump. And the reason another part of me could see a Donald Trump is Donald Trump and Republican presidents in general are pretty good for war. They're very good for sparking up war. But although they're good for war, they are poor at building relationships with second and third world nations. Why am I bringing that up? China is on the rise. China is on the global takeover. Can Donald Trump build the relationships with South Africa? Can he build the relationships with Nigeria and Cameroon? Can Donald Trump build the relationships with Ethiopia and Egypt that the shadow government needs America to have so they can continue to go into the mother continent and freely exploit the resources? I'm not sure Donald Trump is the president to build those political relationships with Africa, Jamaica, Brazil, so forth and so on. I'm not sure he's good for that. And if he's not good for that, if the shadow government doesn't believe Donald Trump is good enough to build those diplomatic relationships so white corporate America can continue to rob the resources of the black nations of this world, then they might choose resources over war.